Well, hard to believe it, but in just a few short months, the sound of welding and hammering will cease, the scaffolding will be gone, and the biggest and most extensive museum dedicated solely to the Holy Bible will open. Hello, I'm Lauren Green, and this is a spirited debate. The Museum of the Bible is set to open in November of this year, the billion-dollar project nearing completion in the nation's capital. The 430,000 square foot structure will hold one of, if not the largest collections of Bibles, biblical artifacts, and discoveries in the world. But it is not without controversy. Here to explain more is Cary Summers, president of the Museum of the Bible. Welcome.
Thank you, Lauren.
I loved having you here. You actually gave us a hard hat tour, which is why those pictures came from. Thank you so much, first of all.
Yeah, you're welcome.
You come from the business background, Abercrombie & Fitch. What is a man in the business model doing, creating a Museum of the Bible?
It's been my, first of all, the Bible is a love affair I've had for many years, so that's not a secret. But if you look at most museums today, they function really somewhat as a business. They're obviously in the non-for-profit world. There's something to be accomplished. There's different agendas to be had. The audiences are slightly different. But in essence, to be successful today, you have to run them really with sound financial responsibility. And the business world helps that a great deal. We overlay that with academics, so we don't miss that part at all. But that's how we design this one.
Why a Museum of the Bible? Why is that needed?
Well, a great question. The question really comes down to why this long? Because it's the best-selling book of all time. It's the most widely read book. It's the most banned book. It's the most debated book. It's the most destroyed book. It's the book that has been beat up the most, and it still is the #1 bestseller. But there's not a
love it or hate it.
Love it or hate it, exactly. That's true. But there has never been a major presentation of it. We have science museums, American history museums, natural history museums. We've got Museum of Art all over the world. But here, for the #1 selling book in the world, it has never had a giant presence in that world. Yeah. And we decided it should. And it was really that simple. You know,
one of the things that you keep sending out are these sort of, what's in the Bible kind of thing, and these little short snippets. And one of the things that really caught my eye is this whole idea of the founding of America and how based it is on the Bible. And I want to read you something from Benjamin Franklin, his Constitutional Convention address on June 28, 1787. He said, "We have been assured in the sacred writings that except the Lord build the house, they labor in vain that build it." That's a direct quote from the Bible.
Right.
And he said, "I firmly believe that without his incurring aid, meaning God's aid, we shall succeed in this political building no better than the builders of Babel," which, of course, is the thing that God tore down.
That's exactly right. We have within the museum itself, we have a section that's called Bible in America. And it deals with some of the quotes. In fact, that quote itself is in that section. It deals with the Founding Fathers' use of the Bible. And this is from the Pilgrims all the way up even to modern day. And it represents the power of the Bible in America. And the Bible was both used for good and for bad, as it has been globally forever. But the Bible is good. Man's misuse of it is bad. And what is really gets debated and somewhat shuffled under the carpet is the dependency the Founding Fathers had on the Bible. Really not necessarily based upon their theological belief, because some had all different titles attached to them, but they did understand the principle that this country was founded upon these biblical principles, Judeo-Christian principles, and the further that we attached ourselves to them, to Benjamin Franklin's quote, the better God would sort of bless or have his hand upon us.
Now, recently there's been a controversy, and I bring this in because Hobby Lobby, that's owned by Steve Green, who's funding a great portion of the Museum of the Bible, they were fined like either $1.6 or $3 million for buying and smuggling rare Iraqi biblical artifacts, and the assumption that these artifacts will be used in the Museum of the Bible. I'm not quite sure. Can you explain what you know about this?
Sure. This is an incident that occurred back in 2009 and 10. The Museum of the Bible had not been formed at that time. The items that are in question that were ruled upon have never been in the possession of Museum of the Bible. We've never had them. The inquiries and the government investigation of this did not involve Museum of the Bible at all. We were never quizzed. Nothing ever occurred. And this was something that occurred in the formation days of buying artifacts by Hobby Lobby, which they knew very little about. They were using advice by others. And it occurred several years ago. It's taken this long to obviously get it resolved. It's been public information now over a week. But the Museum of the Bible has really never been party to it.
All right. I want to thank you so much, Cary Summers, for being a part of Spirited Debate. I mean, there's a whole other thing we could talk about, sort of, the black market of biblical artifacts, so that's a whole another conversation, obviously. And for more information on the museum, you want to go to museumofthebible.org. I'm Lauren Green, and thanks for watching A Spirited Debate.